Anthony Evans was just 12 when he heard his famous father, Tony Evans, addressing a huge crowd at a Promise Keepers conference in a Texas stadium. The men were visibly stirred up and encouraged. But Anthony had only one overriding thought. I could never, ever be him. Take a look.
Anthony Evans, son of megachurch pastor Tony Evans, was already an established Christian artist when he became a contestant on the hit reality show, The Voice. Even though he was knocked out of the competition early, it opened up new opportunities for Anthony to work alongside famous artists in Hollywood. He was later hired by The Voice to help cast new talent. In his book, Unexpected Places, Anthony discusses the highs and lows he experienced on his journey, including struggling with depression and doubt, and what got him through those challenging times.
And please join me in welcoming Anthony Evans to 700 Club Interactive.
Thank
so
you
good
very
to see
much.
you again.
Glad to see you too. Glad to see you too.
Let me begin. We here at the 700 Club Interactive, as well as CBN News, shared the news of your family's loss. I extend my sympathies to you. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. It's a very, very tragic thing to lose a family member, but one that's that young and who has just kids and books and things.
Yeah.
Life is happening at full speed, but it's also perspective and gets us remembering that it's just about family. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, this is great. I love being here, but my family is the most important thing to me because you just don't know how much time you have with your loved ones.
And it's Winter Pitts. That was your cousin, your dad's
niece.
Yes,
Winter Pitts. Yeah, formerly Winter Evans, and then she married Jonathan Pitts, who's now is one of my best friends for 15 years. Yeah, so yeah.
Beautiful. And we saw her daughter perform with your sister in War Room. Amazing daughter. Met both of them and amazing. So your book, Unexpected Places, I read on the back of the book, it goes, what happens when a Dallas, Texas preacher's kid ends up ends up in the middle of Hollywood? So what does happen when
God, when I choose faith over fear, which a lot of times going into the whole Hollywood moment for me was me choosing that, faith over all the just unanswered questions. God has met me in very unexpected ways in a very unexpected place. LA is not the Bible Belt. It's not where you expect somebody in ministry to be, a worship leader to be, but I have had the most amazing opportunities and met the most amazing people in this very unexpected place.
The book opens up and we see you watching your father speak at a Texas stadium, Promise Keepers, and your thought is, I could never, ever do that. Take me back to that day. Obviously, it was vivid because you're right about it.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, I always compare it to my dad is like having a spiritual Michael Jordan as a father. Literally, it feels like what he can do as it relates to his field are magnificent, kind of crazy things. And people, because I'm his DNA, they think, oh, you're going to be able to spiritually dunk from the free throw line like he can. And I'm like, no, hold on. Give me a second. So nobody was saying you have to be Tony Evans, but I felt a pressure, even at a young age, to be him. And that started this whole internal dialogue that led me down a dark path, and nobody knew because I'm the third child, peacemaker. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I could smile and make you think everything's okay, but yeah, it was a pretty rough few years.
You share in the book, literally, there are times when you probably should have spoken up and said, I really don't like this, I really don't want to do this, but in order to keep the peace, you went along to get along, if you will.
Exactly. I kept a lot of things inside thinking that they would dissolve, and what it did was stack up a lot of issues. One issue led to another, and then I kept that inside. I wasn't saying anything, which to me is like going to a doctor's office and not saying anything. Having my dad and having faith and all that stuff was like sitting around in a doctor's office, but like trying to not let them know you have any symptoms of anything going on. That makes zero sense, but that's what I did for years, and that led to me being internally very, very sick.
And you suffered with depression as a result.
Yeah, there was a period in my life where it was hard because I was going out to lead worship and then dealing with this internally at the same time. So that was a miserable time for me, and I had to address it. There came a point where it's like, if you don't address it, I had a pastor tell me, you won't make it another year in ministry. And this is when I was 25. He was like, you won't make it another year in ministry if you keep up this pace and don't deal with you at the same time.
You talk about practice, performance, and putting on a show. What does that mean?
It means that if you operate from a place of always being on and putting on a show and not having anybody around you who knows the real you, you're setting yourself up for ultimate failure. You're putting undue pressure on yourself that isn't necessary at all.
Before we get to the end of this interview, we have to ask. So you end up on The Voice.
Yeah.
Tony Evans' son
Yeah,
ends up on The Voice.
yeah.
How do you get there?
You know, a friend of mine came over. I was in Nashville at that point. A friend of mine named Jeremy Camp came over to my house and was like, "There's this new show." I told him there's a new show that was reaching out to talent and has auditions and stuff. And he was like, "Do it. You're free right now. I know you are a worship leader. You're free right now. So go ahead and jump on." And long story short is I ended up meeting with them, auditioning for a little bit, and then ending up on the show. And that was I could talk about that. I mean, that's mentioned in the book a lot because there are lessons I learned on and off camera that changed my life. And I work now in LA a lot, doing TV and film, and that's all based off of me taking a risk on myself and on God kind of doing something outside of the box, and he did.
Wow. What are your plans now?
Well, my plans now are to keep running around talking about this and get to the opportunity to lead worship with my family on the road. We have a production company called Sherman James Productions, which are our grandfather's names and how this all started. So we get to produce the events that I get to do with Priscilla and Crystal and my dad, and that is huge for me. And then also we get to work with amazing artists like Tori Kelly. We've been doing a lot of stuff with her recently, so it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
People will find it hard to believe that you had no desire or plans to be a singer.
No, I didn't have the plans, and then my dad heard and saw, actually both my parents heard and saw an ability in me and kind of fostered it before I even asked it to be fostered. Yeah. I was like, what? You want me to do what? But yeah, they made sure that doors, that I was knocking on doors even when I wasn't knocking on doors. Nice. They knocked for me, yeah.
And what doors were you trying to knock on? What did you want to do?
I wanted to go, I grew up going to a camp called Pine Cove in Texas, working outside with horses. I wanted to go into animal science, be a vet. Like that was my life passion. Now I have a horse, but that's not my job. Yeah.
You just go ride when you can.
Yes.
Well, the book is called Unexpected Places, written by Anthony Evans, and also your latest CD is called Back to Life. This has been out about a year now?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
All right, and both are beautiful. The book is great, the music. You're one of those people I have a hard time listening to without crying, and I guess that's a good thing. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.